Hey guys, what's up? This is the watch list video for Tuesday, July 19th. The SPY gapped up today, but then sold off. Although it didn't sell off all day, it did this for a good, I don't know, 2/3 of the day, and then half the day, and then fell apart in the afternoon. That kind of scenario. First of all, the way I trade and the things I look for, a gap up in the overall market, I should say, a sizable gap up, which you could argue what we had today for how it's been trading, lately, is the worst condition for what I do, right? Long biased, trading individual stocks from a watch list and from the gap playlist and all that. Generally, a sizable gap up in the overall SPY, the overall market, is my least favorite scenario, and that kind of played out today. I had like a couple trades, but I can't say, hey, I called this at this price in the chat room, which is usually what I like to be able to say, hey, I call this in the room, and I definitely don't have that option. I did point out, several of us did, that EVTL had worked its way back up. It was already on our watch list, and then there's the early high at 527, but I didn't make an official call because it has gotten back to the high of the day too quickly, right? So I don't want to take that, but then look what it did. Then it put in a red candle, and then the very next candle goes. So then you've got that cup and handle, and you've got a seller's fail scenario, and you had Friday's high above as another catalyst. So I know some people in chat said, hey, thanks for putting that on my radar. I know exactly what you guys did. I did the same thing. Took this cup and handle breakout and had a neat little trade there. But overall, certainly not a lot to brag about. It was I think a lot of times when the market has this pending, right? When this is getting ready to happen, a lot of times stuff that you're watching long won't trigger anyway. It's this is the underlying weakness that is, it's here, but it's underlying, and then it shows, right? For lack of a better way of putting it. So I didn't do much today, but that was a neat little trade. And I'm just going to go into what we're watching for tomorrow. I do expect better action the rest of the week. Mondays are dead anyway. Summers are kind of dead, but hopefully. Although I don't have what I would say a bunch of great setups. But we always say news plays can come out of nowhere. Morning gap plays can give us nice setups and so on. So I'm still going to log in tomorrow with optimism. All right. Anyway, having said all that, EVTL topped out today at 605. It closed all the way at 519. So this just breaks down into, hey, it's a recent high flyer with decent news. I'm going to keep it on watch, but I do think, it needs to come back in a couple days, but we'll see. RHE, this is kind of an interesting chart. You had this big spike, and then it closed with this big topping tail. Generally, when you see that, the stock's going to just bleed lower, for the next several days, probably round trip, but it didn't, right? It gapped down, showed some strength. Gapped down a little bit, showed some strength, and again, 2 days in a row, 4 days in a row now, it's kind of in this fairly tight range, and a pretty weak tape today, so I'm going to keep this on watch, but I've said this before. It's a low volume stock, only 108,000 all day today. So I'm going to need to see some volume before I'll get involved with that thing. AMC, just kind of a cup and handle breakout today. And I'm just going to call it a relative strength stock I'm going to put on watch. SKYT, kind of a mini breakout today too. But this thing almost never hits 1 million shares, so it's a thin one. But I'm going to put it on a chart. SKYX, not to be confused with SKYT. Remember, I was watching this for a move back through 3 for a few days. By the way, never caught it. And yesterday it did break 3, and then today just, pretty much ripped, especially in a weak tape. So even though I was watching it back here, I didn't make a penny from it. And now it ran without me. And as I said in that video, if you watch my video that I put out this weekend, just kind of showing you the rain in my backyard. I called it a video from the Day Trader's Advice or something from the Sunshine State. Little bit of sarcasm there because it was pouring. By the way, it's pouring right now as I speak too. So whenever there's a good storm, maybe I'll get the camera out and make day trading advice videos. Maybe I'll make that a thing. Anyway, I'm going to watch SKYX because it had really nice volume today and a pretty nice move in a very weak market, right? Or somewhat weak market. GOEV. I don't really, I guess you could argue since the gap up, it's been in a range between 5 and 326, right? So you picture a line here and a line here, and it's in a range, but it's definitely a recent high flyer that's had good news lately. and you've got 2 days lower. It's still in that range, but I'm going to look for a possible setup in it because of the recent news and because of the chart and because we've had a couple days down in a row. MARA or anything Bitcoin related, if Bitcoin follows through tomorrow, I'm certainly going to keep this one on a chart. NCNA, great relative strength compared to the market. MX, nice little mini breakout today in a week tape. BOXD coming out of it had a big pop back here on big volume that topped out at 225, and then today actually broke that slightly, it went to 228 before settling at 219, but seems to have found support, getting volume lately, so we're going to keep our eyes on that. ASTL, kind of a sleeper pick, but decent volume for the stock and a little bit of a pop today. I'm not really in love with this list, if you can tell. Stitch Fix, SFIX, big volume back here. I think it was a big insider purchase, if I'm not mistaken. Topped out at 633, sideways for a few days and trying to curl back up. And then lastly, APLD, which doesn't look that interesting, except in after hours, it's trading at $1.45 right now. So a potential gapper tomorrow. We'll see if it's still gapping in the pre-market. Remember, this list is stocks I'm watching to take day trades in. I'm in cash every night. So none of this is investment advice. I'm just looking for things that may give me a day trade. In addition to this list, we'll find gappers in the pre-market. Let's keep the teamwork thing going in chat, and I'll see everybody in the morning.